Welcome everyone to the Longmont-to-Boulder Trail, aka the LoBo Trail, J Road Connection virtual public meeting. I'm Tanya Lubert. I'm the Boulder County Regional Trails Planner and the project manager for the LoBo Trail J Road Connection project. All right, so first we'll begin with quick introductions of the partnering agencies and design consultants that are joining me on this webinar tonight. Then we'll move on to a brief project overview, and then I'll go over the previous project's steps that got us to this point, since it's been quite a while since we've checked in with the public on this project. Then number 4 is the main purpose of the meeting, what we'll be spending most of our time on. We'll be taking you through all the engineering design details of the project, and then I'll give a brief update on funding and timing, and then we will end with Q&A, and we won't be taking questions about the project until the end. And please add only questions to the Q&A field. All right. So general introductions. Boulder County is leading the project and funding the design, and will be funding the construction. However, since there is one section on City of Boulder open space lands and another small section within the City of Boulder road right-of-way up on the northern portion of Spine, we have been partnering closely with the City of Boulder. We will also be improving bus stops as part of the project. So we've also been working with RTD on that aspect of the design. And Atkins is our engineering consultant who has been fearlessly leading the engineering design of the project. And we have representatives on the call from the city, RTD, and of course Atkins tonight that will be helping me later on. So just a brief project overview. The LoBo Trail system, as many of you I'm sure know, is a mix of city and county-owned trails that provides a trail connection between Boulder and Longmont. In 2020, in partnership with the City of Boulder, we completed the Williams Fork Twin Lakes section of the LoBo, which is just, I don't know if everyone can see my my arrow, but in Gun Barrel, just a little northeast of here. And over the past several years, the county and its partners have been working toward completing one of the final missing links in the LoBo Trail system, the J Road connection, which is what I'm here tonight to present on. The final missing link in this key regional trail would also provide Gun Barrel residents a safe off-street connection to the City of Boulder via the Cottonwood Trail. And this route also provides the opportunity to improve 5 transit stops along J Spine and implement pedestrian and bicycle safety accessibility improvements to the intersection of J and Spine. So since we haven't checked in with the public in quite a while due to the pandemic and a couple unforeseen project delays, I wanted to recap the previous project steps that helped us get to the point we are now. So in 2018, the county, in partnership with the city, conducted an alternatives analysis study, which involved a public process to assess 5 alternative alignments. The project team created evaluation criteria that reflect the vision and goals of the project. And the criteria allowed each option to be compared to the others and help the project team to rank and determine a best fit alternative to close this final gap in the LoBo. Results from that analysis study show that option A, which is this yellow option here, if you can see on these two maps, was the most favorable alternative. We also called it 55th Street option. With option D, which is the J spine option, the blue line, as a very close second, which also mirrored the feedback received at least one of the open houses. So we then took both of those preferred alternatives on to conceptual design. We also call it 15% design. So it's, you know, not getting very in-depth in the engineering, but still we have, we do survey and have engineers helping us out with this work. And that helped determine the actual feasibility of both of those alignments. Then in 2020, the county looked at the feasibility of both of those preferred alignments, you know, using the information that we gathered from the study and then the conceptual designs of both 55th and the J-spine options. And essentially the road right-of-way and grading constraints of the 55th option caused significant impact, or would have caused significant impacts to private property. We determined, and for other reasons as well, that was one of the leading reasons, we determined that the J-spine option was the only feasible route at this time. So then we began final engineering design for the J-spine option in mid-2021. So now I will begin the meat of our presentation, if you will, to describe where we are now in the engineering design process. So in 2021, 2021, we began final engineering for this J-spine option. So I'm just going to take you through all of the specific design elements to help you understand what this trail will look and feel like once it is constructed. So this first section, the trail will begin where the existing Cottonwood Trail now terminates at J Road. So instead, the Cottonwood will now turn directly east, and we are able to align it about give or take 50 feet off of J Road, since it is on City of Boulder open space lands. And there's vegetation, trees along here, and then also a ditch. And so we wanted to avoid that. So we put, we aligned the trail on the inside of that. And then there's an existing fence along here that will be removed and then replaced with a new fence along the backside. And this is a section to help kind of understand what that, an illustrative section to help understand what that looks like. So this is the fence I was talking about that is existing, and this is the new proposed fence. This is the 8-foot crusher fine trail. And this is the existing ditch in this area, and here has you know, some trees, so we'll have some nice separation from the road here. And to continue on open space here, this section on open space and that is crush refined is about 1/4 of a mile long. And then once we get to private property here, we have to come up a little bit closer to the road. And as you can see, there is a slip lane, or where to make this possible for bikes that are using the shoulders to then come off the road and access the trail. And then we've also implemented this is one of the bus stop improvements or transit stop improvements. And then some detectable warnings and crossing improvements here. Okay. Go on to the next slide. All right, so now as we move east, as you can see, the multi-use path trail is now concrete instead of crusher fine. And because there is an existing ditch here, we are going to have to now pipe that ditch. And so it will now be underneath. There will be a few manholes within the surface of the multi-use path due to some vertical and horizontal constraints. We don't have a huge right-of-way here along J, but since this is concrete trail, it will be flush with the surface. And then every driveway crossing will be marked with a crosswalk. Every crossing across a road will obviously be marked with a crosswalk to make those crossings as safe as possible. And then the additional transit stop improvement is here as well. And then this is a illustrative section of what that area will look like. So there will be a bit of room in between the edge of pavement of the road and the multi-use path. And there will be, there is existing fences along some of this, existing berms to kind of separate the path from private property as well. And moving on, here's another driveway crossing and then another bus stop improvement here. And as you can see, the ditch, these lines within the multi-use path is still, the ditch is still being piped within this section. There's a couple more manholes planned. And then we get to 57th Street and we're able to pull a little bit farther away from the edge of J again, as the road right-of-way expands a little bit. And this red section up here is to accommodate opposing left turn lanes. So we have been working with Boulder County Public Works on this as a proposal to implement a left turn lane at the intersection of 57th Street. All of the widening will be on the north side of J, and we've already had some discussion with property owners, and we'll continue to work with them on that. And I have another slide here that kind of shows to get a better feeling of what that will actually look like with the striping, which shows the crosswalk and the striping for the bikeable shoulders, and then here's the turn lanes in here. So the reasoning for that, if you're on J a lot, you know that vehicular traffic on J Road can get pretty backed up at times. And sometimes, this just happened to me the other day, along there, drivers dangerously use the bike lane to zoom around other vehicles that are waiting to turn left. So that's one of the reasons that this is being proposed, and we are hoping that this lane will help alleviate that. As I mentioned, this is just going back a slide. The trail will then cross 57th and then we're able to move a little bit farther away from J again, and we no longer have to pipe that ditch for this next section. So as you can see, we're a little bit farther away now. There's an existing fence and tree row as well. This section is not as exciting as the rest of it. Then as we get closer to the Spine intersection, we have another slip lane for cyclists who have wanted to remain on the road shoulder the entire time, but don't feel safe turning left onto Spine Road. They now can use the slip lane to access the multi-use path, and then use the improved crossing that we plan to implement. So the improvements in the intersection will include adding 2 pedestrian push buttons and signal heads on the west side here. And there's already an existing push button on the east. And then additional ramps will be added. And then we'll extend the trail a little to the east to get to allow pedestrians and cyclists to access the transit stop that is further to the east along J. And the east leg already has a crosswalk, but we'll be adding a crosswalk to the west side to cross J, since the J Road connection will be aligned on the west side of Spine instead of the east side. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, and then there will be slightly improving the existing bus stop on the north side of J intersection, and just improving all of the pedestrian ADA ramps and detectable warnings. I think that. And some of these improvements will be, as the note in the left-hand corner, will be constructed with the Boulder County J Road overlay project in advance of the trail project. Well, likely in advance of the trail project. Will, I think, depend on funding as far as timing. And then this is a section of what that detached, as we're calling it, section where the trail is further away from J Road will look like. So more of a feel like the section on OSMP lands, except for this will be a hard surface path, concrete path instead. All right, moving on to spine. So to orient you, this is J Road now, and up here, and this is, can someone let me know, can you see my arrow?
I can see it, thanks.
Okay, great. I was hoping so. Thanks. So, and then this is spine. So we've kind of turned the screen here. North is to the right. So now the trail will be aligned along the west side of spine and head directly north. It will remain 8 feet wide, concrete. And we originally thought that you can see this little arrow here, if you can read the small font here, existing fence. We had originally thought when we first went out that that was the right of way, but unfortunately, the county does not have that much right of way along spine. So we don't have as much room to play with the alignment along here as we had originally thought after we did survey. So then moving north along spine, and we get to the section now that begins City of Boulder road right of way, where we enter this neighborhood, and the multi-use path becomes 10 feet wide in this section. And we will cross South Orchard Creek Circle. It's currently, I believe, a 6-foot sidewalk in this section. So we'll be widening that to 10 feet and then connecting up to here where the local path comes in. It's kind of split between 2 slides here. So currently the LoBo trail comes out right here. Kind of, yeah, I think you can best see it on this. It comes out right here. And then this is a local trail connector that goes into this neighborhood and dead ends in the neighborhood. So now we will be terminating our project where the official LoBo ends here at Spine Road, and then providing a slightly better connection here to the existing local path and going all the way up to this corner, working with the city on that portion. And then this is just a section of what that will look like. So it's relatively close to the road in this section, but Spine is a much calmer local connector. And the section farther south that's next to this open land will obviously feel a little bit different than the area where we're a little bit more constrained with our right of way. I just wanted to give a couple examples of other sections of the LoBo Trail. So here's a section of Crusher Fine Trail. Obviously, we only have fence on one side of the trail, and I'm not sure, I can't remember what type of fence OSMP is requesting. Maybe Chad, you can let me know later if we had a question on it. But there will only be fence on one side, I believe. So that's kind of to give you a feeling. And as I stated before, there'll be about a quarter of a mile of 8-foot wide crusher fine trails, and then the rest of the trail, which is pretty close to a mile along Spine or along J and Spine, will be 8 to 10 feet wide concrete multi-use path. So as far as timeline, currently we are working on easement work and agreements with adjacent property owners, as well as we are working with ditch shareholders for the lateral along here that we will be piping. And well, part of it we will be piping. And then next steps as we're moving on in the design process will be working on maintenance agreements with the city and ditch company and ditch shareholders likely. And we plan to have final engineering design plans complete by fall of 2023. And the timeline of construction is heavily dependent on funding. We are still, the project cost estimate came in around 1.7 million as of the end of 2022. We are still working on the phasing of projects that will be funded with the transportation sales tax that passed in November of 2022. This project is obviously on the list, but we are, still working on phasing all of the projects that are included on the sales tax regional trails and bikeways list. We did apply for a Dr. Cog transportation improvement program. There we go. That's what TIP stands for. Call for grants in January of this year. And we were hopeful that if we were awarded that grant, we'd be able to go to construction relatively soon using the transportation sales tax money as leverage, as local match. But we were not awarded that. We are on a wait list. So construction timing is not known at this time, but we are trying to find a way to complete this project as soon as possible. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for being here and open it up for questions.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. We've got a few questions. I'm going to just kind of start at the top of the questions about this project. Sure. Why was option D chosen over option A?
Right, so let me go back. Hopefully I don't make my computer screen going to freeze, going too fast. There's probably a faster way to do that. So 55th was the preferred alternative with J Spine as a very close second. Both determined by the public process and also the project team. And so the project team created evaluation criteria that used the vision and the goals of the project, and then compared each of these options to each other to determine which was the best option to move forward with. And so that's how we determined A and D. And then once we determined that those were the best two to move forward with, we did conceptual design for both of those, which helped us determine the actual feasibility. Like once we got out there and did survey for both of those, and worked with property owners and actually, you know, looking at the grades and the right of ways and everything, that helped us determine that the 55th, there was a lot more constraints along that route than we thought. The right of way and the grading on 55th would have caused significant impacts to the private property along 55th. And so in working with that private property owner, we determined that the J-spine option at this time was the only feasible route to push forward to engineering, design, and construction. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, moving on to the next one. By the way, we did get some just suggestions, which I'm going to skip over for now, but we are seeing those, but I'm going to move on to the questions. Why is the county and city not taking this opportunity to install 2 speed tables on Spine at the intersection of North and South Orchard Creek Circle? The city has planned to install traffic slowing devices on Spine since 2017.
I'm wondering if that would be best answered by Lindsay. Can you help answer that about, I don't know anything about speed tables on Spine.
Yeah, this is Lindsay Mars. I'm with the City of Boulder. I'm one of the transportation engineering project managers. So I am not part of our traffic operations group, so I can't speak directly to anything that has been planned, discussed with anybody for potential speed tables on Spine. As far as it relates to why wouldn't we take this opportunity to install the 2 speed tables on Spine? So just, you know, thinking through this with this project being managed and run through the county and being a path project, there are instances when we can tie a roadway improvement to it, but in this instance, with this being primarily a path project, at this time I can't foresee any speed tables. But with that being said, I'm just not familiar with any of the conversations that through transportation operations with the City of Boulder about the speed tables. So I don't want to speak too much about it because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I am not aware of it, and we'd have to just chat with transportation operations staff, Tanya, to get a better answer.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Here's the next question. Will the path along Spine in the city portion replace the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. And next question, if I can keep going. Why no stoplight at Jules Drive East? Oops. This is a very dangerous intersection.
Why no stoplight at Jules Drive East? Is that's the question?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Stoplight. I guess I need a little more clarification
Yes.
on that.
Yeah.
I guess Heather or Lauren, do you need more clarification on that, or is it just me?
Yeah, I think the question is at the next intersection down at 57th. Yeah, I think that one. Yeah, so we are adding in the turn lanes, or at least proposing to add in the turn lanes to help with traffic flow and give a storage space for people to turn left. To actually put in a traffic signal requires signal warrant analysis and certain amount of traffic and certain turning volumes, and the turning volumes aren't that big here. So basically this intersection isn't meeting traffic signal warrants at this time.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, here's a prairie dog question. First, and this one contains two, but I'll ask the first one. The first question is about Prairie Dog Village, that is where the bike trail will go along J. What will be done with them?
Along J?
Mhm.
Okay. So, oops. So in this section on City of Boulder open space and mountain parks land, we've aligned the trail in an area that as of now is avoiding prairie dog holes. And if we get to the stage of construction and that's no longer the case, we will be following all of OSMP, City of Boulder OSMP's guidelines on their prairie dog practices. And I don't know, Chad, do you want to touch on that? Did I probably didn't get the language right.
No, that was good. Yes, that's correct. Current alignment, we're basically trying to thread between the road, ditch, and prairie dog colony. And we've reviewed, our staff has reviewed that, our wildlife staff, and feel pretty good about that right now. Obviously, depending on timing, that could change. We have pretty set protocols on, what happens with prairie dogs and all of that. Sorry, I'm not a prairie dog expert, but we do have projects in the realm of prairie dog colonies. And what we do is lean on our expert wildlife staff to navigate that, to make sure that, we can push forward with a project, but do it in a way that's, sensitive to the prairie dog colony.
Thanks, Chad.
Okay. Next question. We're actually getting quite a few more here. So here's the next one. For those of us who use Idlewild and want to continue north, is there any consideration of painting a crosswalk on the west side of the intersection with a lookout?
Oh, so we moved up into Gun Barrel.
Okay, that's outside of the project scope. I'll move on to the next question then, and we can get back to that was Elaine. We can get back to her on that. Here's a question that I'm going to ask that is interesting from the public, and I'm asking it mostly because to show the amount of work that goes into this type of projects. And here's the question. The new plan now impacts Farmers Lateral, that's the ditch. Have they been contacted?
Yes. So I will let Jeff Davis, do you want to take that one?
Sure.
Or Dan, I guess.
I think I
Go ahead.
started both my camera and my volume. So yes, there's farmers on the north side, and we've also got the Boulder and White Rock lateral on the south side. So those of you who use those, the city had a broadband project a while back. So we've been in touch with them and in touch with some of the property owners, lateral users out there. We're very cognizant of the need to be very careful with water supply, irrigation season, water quality, turbidity. So we will be working with everybody out there. We will be asking for, as the city did, and I will acknowledge our project is going to have a lot more impact on the lateral than the broadband, but we will also make sure we have ditch crossing agreements in place with the lateral users ahead of time. So that will be a separate but very related process. So we will be in touch on that, but we're very aware of that issue and really appreciate mentioning here because that will be upcoming meetings on that.
Great question. Thanks.
Yeah,
Jeff.
and that just shows the amount of work that goes into behind the scenes, under the ground kind of work that goes into
Yeah.
these projects. There's more to this that we will read, and I will show Tanya after the meeting. But the basic question in this one is, why is there not an underpass under J to sign instead of at-grade crossing?
Oh, well, first is cost, but I can let Heather or Lauren take the engineering side of that if
Yeah.
you want to touch on
But
that.
before I move on, if I
Yeah.
may interject, I think you said the total cost of this project was 1.7 million. Is that
Yes.
correct? And adding a underpass would be 5 or 6 million.
Right.
So yes, and then the engineering part of that.
Yeah. And then is it feasible? I don't know. Lauren, could you speak to whether it would even be feasible? I mean, it's definitely not in the scope.
Yeah, also with the irrigation ditches on each side, like Farmers Canal and stuff.
Right.
I mean, that water has to go somewhere, and you got to figure out how to handle that. So this would be a really hard place to put an underpass under a road.
Thank you.
But we are doing everything we can to make the at-grade crossing at Jay's Spine safer for pedestrians and cyclists and everyone.
Okay, and this goes to another part of riding on J, because we all know there's so many cyclists there. Will the shoulder on J Road be reduced?
It will remain the same.
The same size. Okay.
Yes, correct. Well, I guess I should let Lauren answer that.
Yes, the J Road's going to get resurfaced here soon, and it'll have the bikeable shoulders and a buffer. So it'll be a comfortable place to ride.
For folks
Okay.
that are comfortable riding on the road.
Sorry, it went up. Oh, there it is. Is there a technical reason the trail along J and most of Spine is going to be only 8 feet wide?
Good question. For some of it, we are constrained by right of way. Some of it we could possibly look into widening it to 10 feet. That would, increase the cost significantly. Per county standards at this time, we have them at 8 feet. So I guess it's not a great answer, but the section between 55th and 57th, it does need to be 8 feet definitely through that section to minimize impacts to adjacent properties and need for more easements. And then so the trail isn't like basically just an extension of the road.
Okay. I think I have 2 more questions. This one starts out saying, thank you for protecting the prairie dogs. That's appreciated. And their question is, will there be will the crosswalk from Spine to the dirt path be lit? I think it's from Spine to J be lit, I think is the question. There will be lighting there.
At the intersection, is that?
Yes.
I don't think there will be extra lighting other than the street lights that are already there.
Okay.
Is that correct, Lauren? I mean, I think,
Yeah.
we're at 30, well, about 50% design, so.
Yeah,
there
the
might-
existing street light or the existing signal poles have street lights on them already.
Okay. And actually, if you stay on that slide, here's the next question. Is there an opportunity to add a slip ramp to allow cyclists traveling eastbound to move from the path to the shoulder and then turn left on Spine?
Traveling eastbound from the path to the, oh, so the opposite of what we have now? Is that the question? So
Well-
right now we have it as
Oh, I see.
cyclists on
Yes,
the
it would be.
bike, on the shoulder would use the slip ramp to enter the path to then use the push buttons, the pedestrian push buttons to safely cross here. So that's how we designed it. Am I understanding? But they're wondering if you can have the opposite of
I think,
cyclists going
what-
eastbound, entering here and then turning? Is that?
yes,
Huh.
that was my
Okay.
understanding of the question.
Interesting.
I
Maybe
think
that's
also,
a question for you, Alexandra,
yes.
bike planner.
To me, it would seem that cyclists would, if they were on the road, they could easily do exactly what we do now and just take the lane and make the left turn there. Or they could stay on the path and cross in a crosswalk and then get on the road and merge to the road on Spine instead of the path. If that doesn't answer your question, we'll have contact information on the next, our last slide, so let us know. There was one question, I think 4 more minutes, that I'll just ask really quickly. I saw that it was answered in the typing, but the crosswalk on the west side of Spine, will there be a crosswalk there?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not showing up well in these plans for some reason, but yes, there will be a crosswalk added here. This is, the main crossing for the trail. Yeah, not sure why it's not showing up.
Okay. I got to almost everybody's, I think everybody's questions. Let's see. There's a few that are outside of the scope of this project
Okay.
that I'll leave. And Greg from RTD has his hand up. Greg, go ahead.
Well, hello there. Thanks for having this meeting. It looks like a really great project. Just a quick question. Have you been working with our engineering department on the ADA requirements for the new bus pads?
Yes, they have reviewed the 30% plans, and then once we get to our 90% plans as we move forward with engineering design after this public meeting, we'll be sending them on to your engineering team for further review.
Super. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And that's just another peek behind the curtain to see how much work goes into these. So I'll hand it back to you, Tanya. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. And as Alexandra alluded to, if we didn't get to your question, if it was, more specific or wasn't within the scope of this project, or if you just have a comment, please feel free to email me as the project manager for this project. Happy to hear your your thoughts or take your questions. And if I can't answer them, I will try and get you in touch with someone who can. I appreciate everyone being here tonight, and really appreciate your interest in this project. And we're excited to continue moving forward with it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. And I will add that in the chat is the link to the web page for this project.
Oh, yes. Yes, there's in the chat a link to the web page, and we will be posting either a recording of this presentation will become available fairly soon on the web page, and here in a few weeks we'll have this latest set of plans available on the web page too. They're not up there yet, but the conceptual plans that I talked about that show the 55th option as well, those are up there, as well as the previous alternatives analysis study are on the web page if you're interested in going back through that study and looking at it. But yeah, there will be more information posted on the website soon. So thanks again, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and officially end the meeting. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.